I am Christiane Ohsan. I am standing as candidate to the Greater London Assembly on May the 1st on the list for the party Unity for Peace and Socialism, together with comrades from the Communist Party of Britain as well as domicile communist parties in this country. I myself am not a Londoner born and bred, but I came to London many years ago and I've come to love this city. It's where my family was born. My children were born here, and I very much am attached to the city. I've benefited from it, and I think that the UFPS candidates, if we do get elected, we have a lot to do, contribute for the city to benefit the many rather than the few. The first issue, the most important issue for us next week is to get Londoners to vote. If they do vote and they come out in vast numbers, then one of the biggest dangers we face in these elections might be overcome, and that is the election of the BNP to the GLA. All they need is 5%. At the last elections, they were nearly there, and we need to make it impossible for them to reach this level of support so that they cannot get a seat on the Assembly. Now, if we have BNP members and Boris Johnson, it is really bad news for this great diverse city, multicultural city that we have. So that is the biggest job. And in London, we have seen an increasing level of Islamophobia, intolerance. We still see that the minority ethnic groups are in the lowest jobs or not employed. Black children, especially black boys, doing very badly at school. Unemployment amongst black people being much higher than unemployment amongst white people. So there are all issues such as this, which frankly, having the BNP or Boris Johnson around, regardless of what Johnson says, will not help. But we also need to make sure that the jobs are worth having, the benefits of London are worth having. So it's a city that's got to be the capital city rather than the city for capital. My other interest is in education. I have been a trade unionist for all my working life, and I have been a full-time official for an education trade union now for quite a while. The sector we cover is the post-16 sector, so it's the post-school sector. And it's what we find in that sector, the further education sector, is it's a second chance opportunity for many who have not done well at school, who've not been served well by the school system. So they have a second chance to either acquire general education or training into a vocational skill, or education to carry on into higher education. And in London, we've found that there is huge support for further education in terms of students. But we've got a system where the government dictates what's got to be done in order to meet its own goals, its own objectives, without much regard to the needs of the city itself. And I think that is important for us to be looking at education in a much wider sense than just what the economy needs and what's going to make profits for companies. Part of education is for people to realize their own aspirations, to get a wider understanding of life, to be able to manage, to be able to live independently. And in turn, in the longer term, that will bring a lot of benefits and could address issues such as the rate of crime, the nature of crime, and the general well-being of the population. So I think that's something which we in the Communist Party have got a lot to contribute. Instead of following a very narrow agenda, we can push those barriers to make sure that education is what it really ought to be, for educating, for producing knowledgeable people, for producing teachers, architects, professionals, but also for producing a population that is able to live independently and properly.